Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri is preparing to host the first dialogue session between Hezbollah and the Future Movement, aimed at easing sectarian tensions in the country. Families of the 25 Lebanese servicemen held captive by the Nusra Front meet with Hezbollah Deputy Chief Sheikh Naim Asim and Maronite Patriarch Bashar al-Rai. And Health Minister Wael Abu Faoud orders the closure of food and medicine storage warehouses at Beirut's airport, citing poor hygiene and expired items during an inspection. Officials from the Future Movement and Hezbollah will sit face-to-face, marking the start of a dialogue aimed at easing sectarian tensions in Lebanon and paving the way for the election of a new president. Hezbollah will be represented by Hussein Khalil, the political aide to party leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, along with Industry Minister Hussein Haj Hassan and MP Hassan Fadlallah. Nader Hariri, chief of former Prime Minister Saad Hariri's staff, Interior Minister Nuhad al-Mashnouk, and lawmaker Samir Jisr will attend on behalf of the Future Movement. The dialogue between the two bitter rivals will also aim to boost efforts to combat the rising threat of terrorism, facilitate an agreement on a new electoral law, and energize stagnant state institutions. Future Movement sources said the party will focus on the need to elect a consensus president, a task which has proven a Gordian knot for Lebanese politicians. Speaker Nabih Berri, who has been preparing for the talks over the past months, will host the first dialogue session at his residence in the Beirut neighborhood of Ain Tine at 6 p.m. Hezbollah says it will start taking action for the release of the Lebanese servicemen held by jihadis, but will not disclose any details to the media. This is according to the party's deputy chief Sheikh Naim Asim, who made the announcement following a meeting with the families of the captive soldiers and policemen. Asim said the method that has been used so far has led to the fall of many honorable martyrs, and this case requires secret, meticulous and wise follow-up. In his speech, Asim also implied that Hezbollah supported a swap deal to end the hostage crisis. At least 25 soldiers and policemen are still being held hostage by jihadis from ISIS and the Nusra Front in the outskirts of the northeastern town of Arsal. The captives were abducted during the clashes in Arsal in August. And following their meeting with Asim, the families of the captive servicemen headed to Kirki, where they met with Patriarch Bashar al-Rai. Rai expressed full solidarity with the families and promised to do his best in contributing to the release of their sons. Rai called on government officials to take the matter with more seriousness and responsibility, saying that no more procrastination can be tolerated. On another note, Rai also received the family of Samir Kassab, a Lebanese photojournalist who is believed to have been kidnapped in Syria more than a year ago. The patriarch pledged to contact Qatar over the matter. Health Minister Wael Abu Faoud has ordered the closure of food and medicine storage warehouses at Beirut International Airport, citing poor hygiene and expired items during the inspection. The minute you walk into the warehouses, you feel like you entered a dump, Abu Faoud said after inspecting the airport, adding that meat and fish were mixed with medicine and trash. Transport Minister Ghazi Zaitir, who accompanied Abu Faoud, added that the conditions inside the refrigerated warehouses were scary, horrible and unacceptable, and they threatened people's health. The minister pledged to introduce changes to the facilities and to take action against the administration. In addition to the dirty floors and the unsafe storage of the goods, the health minister revealed that some of the food products in storage had expired nearly 20 years ago. Today's move was the latest in a series of actions taken by the health minister as part of his widely popular food safety campaign last month. As Syria's war heads towards its 5th year, there is no sign of the conflict ending. 3 out of 4 Syrians live in poverty and 50% of Syrian children are out of school. Neighboring countries are feeling the strain of taking the majority of refugees and are unable to adequately provide for all. The United Nations and partners have launched a major new humanitarian and development appeal, requesting over $8.4 billion in funds to help nearly 18 million people in Syria and across the region in 2015.
Syria, 4 years of war and no end in sight. The toll is terrible. Lives lost and maimed. Towns and villages blasted. Millions fleeing. Homes destroyed. Crops lost. Schools broken. hospitals bombed. Savings gone, hopes limited. People are vulnerable. For 3 of 4 Syrians, the bitter reality is poverty. For the young, the future is bleak. Over 12 million Syrians need help urgently. Nearly half the country uprooted from their homes in Syria and across borders. This is the world's largest displacement crisis. The refugee tide floods neighboring countries. Over 3.2 million Syrians in Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, Iraq, and Egypt. Tens of thousands add to the flood each month. There is help. Over 800,000 refugees have been given shelter. 1.8 million get food assistance. 500,000 Syrian children are enrolled in school. But hundreds of thousands more are not. They could become a lost generation. The conflict is a brutal burden on the whole region. Growth has shrunk. Unemployment has grown. 85% of refugees live in towns and villages, not in camps. Local schools and hospitals often can barely cope. More refugees look for work, any work, often competing with local citizens. Neighboring countries have shown exceptional generosity to Syrian refugees, but they are buckling under the pressure. The rest of the world must do more. A new approach is required, inside and outside Syria. Inside the Syria Response Plan 2015, or SRP, it will coordinate humanitarian agencies and actors to bring aid to suffering people and communities in the most direct and safe way. Food, shelter, health services, water, education, all are desperately needed, and all will be delivered, if at all possible. Outside, the Regional Refugee and Resilience Plan, or 3RP. It will bring together 200 partners and build on the national crisis plans of the 5 host countries. The goal? To protect refugees and improve their lives by strengthening the resilience of individuals, families, and communities as the long crisis drags on. Both plans together form a region-wide approach to save lives and help communities cope. The crisis is unprecedented. These plans, 3RP and SRP, are an unprecedented response. Regional, coordinated, and active. An unprecedented response that needs unprecedented support. Your support.
And coming up next, 5 bombs rock Yemen's capital Sana'a, killing a militiaman. That and more after the break. Welcome back. 5 bombs have exploded in Sana'a's old quarter, where many supporters of the Shia Muslim Houthi group live, killing at least 1 person and wounding another. No one claimed responsibility for today's attack, but the Houthis have been fighting the Sunni al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula group and allied tribesmen since its fighters captured Sana'a in September and forced the resignation of the government. Witnesses say the blast occurred early in the morning at a time when only a few people were on the streets. One of the bombs reportedly exploded when a member of the Houthi armed group tried to dismantle it. Several houses and some cars were damaged by the explosions. North Korea has refused to take part in a UN Security Council meeting where the country's bleak human rights situation is being discussed for the first time. The UN Security Council meeting put North Korea's human rights record on the agenda for the first time in a groundbreaking move that may set in motion a way to hold leader Kim Jong-un accountable for alleged crimes against humanity. Instead of a showdown, North Korea says it would not attend Monday's meeting and warned its government will respond if the council decided to take action. North Korea accuses the United States and its allies of using the human rights issue as a weapon to overthrow the leadership of the impoverished but nuclear-armed nation. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the international community urgently needs better early warning and rapid response to the next outbreak of disease, a test that is sure to come, he says. Speaking at the UN headquarters in New York City, Ban told reporters that the world must learn the lessons from the outbreak of the Ebola virus in West Africa, which went beyond strengthening public health systems.
Our immediate goal is simple: 0 cases. Even 1 case can trigger an epidemic. Over the past few days, I witnessed immense suffering. Ebola is a terrible disease that denies the humanity of its victims and stigmatizes its survivors. But I also saw almost superhuman acts of kindness and support. The international community needs better early warning and rapid response. I intend to engage member states in a serious effort to explore what more we can do to stay ahead of the next outbreak of disease, a test that is sure to come. My presence in the office today is meant to send an important message. Where people saw no symptoms, others should follow no fear. Others should show no fear. Ebola caregivers should be praised, not shunned. People who have traveled to Ebola-affected countries and have no signs of infection are no threat. This rise in the incidence and the severity of a cyber attack is very concerned to the United Nations and to all of us. I sincerely hope that United Nations and the whole international community should work very closely to prevent this kind of senseless cyber attack.
And now back in Lebanon, 3 cars have been involved in an accident on the airport tunnel towards Beirut. Reports say there may be some casualties as one of the cars has caught fire. We've just received these images that you can see. We hope that no one has been seriously injured. We'll give you more details as soon as we find out. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri is preparing to host the first dialogue session between Hezbollah and the Future Movement, aimed at easing sectarian tensions in the country. Families of the 25 Lebanese servicemen held captive by the Nusra Front meet with Hezbollah Deputy Chief Sheikh Naim Asim and Maronite Patriarch Bashar Adai. And Health Minister Wael Abu Faour orders the closure of food and medicine storage warehouses at Beirut's airport, citing poor hygiene and expired items during inspection. That's it from me and the news team here at Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and I'll see you again tomorrow for more updates. Take care.
يجب أن يستقيل في الساعات القادمة 20 أكتوبر القادم.